What's up, guys? Ian here from Mid-America Prep. Thanks for tuning in and watching. So I just figured I'd make a quick video just to, let you know I'm still here. Just been extremely busy with all kinds of stuff going on. I've shot like 4 or 5 videos in the last month or so. Not all of them are going to be going up anytime soon. They're more like June, July when I'm going to be posting those videos. Actually, they're uploaded. They're just scheduled to go live later on just because of what they are talking about. I've been extremely busy at work, my hobbies and everything, and there's just so much going on. I never find time to make a video to get posted to the channel in time, and I've been trying to catch up with old video comments and stuff. It's funny, I can post a video. I posted several videos 4, 5, 6 years ago, and they sat stagnant for years, and then now suddenly somebody has shared them somewhere, and they are just, pulling in the views and the comments like crazy, which is funny how that works. And then people don't check the dates on videos, and they don't do their own research, which we know that people don't do their own research. They go to YouTube for their research and expect it to be their answers, but they don't look to have updated information after a video is no longer pertaining to the subject the video is about, legal wise, whatever, which I'll get on that in some other video. But man, it is a cool, wet spring here in Kansas. I live in the central part of the state, and we've been smacked with rain every day for the last 4 or 5 days, it seems like. Torrential downpours. I think, today's Tuesday or Wednesday. Sunday this week was actually our only day where we didn't have any major downpours. We had a little bit of rain, but no downpours. Yesterday, I emptied out 1 3/4 inches of rain from the rain gauge by noon, and then I just emptied it out this morning, and it was 1 inch overnight. I think we were probably getting up towards 5.5, 6 inches of rain in the last week. Extremely wet here in the Midwest with tornadoes and high winds all together. It's kind of crazy. I love the Midwest. I love Kansas, and I love this time of year. But I gotta tell you, I don't think I've ever turned the heater on in the 3rd week of May in Kansas. It has been the strangest spring so far. It got down to like 42 last night, I think it was, which is fine. We could have, snuggled up with some extra blankets or something, but the house was just really cold, and with that, we are in this weird contraption of the weather right now. Oklahoma is getting smacked with tornadoes and flooding, as is southern Kansas. I grew up in the southeast portion of Kansas, and we had a historic flood in 2007. And I would aim to believe that probably will happen again in 2019, which is sad. But going back to the tornadoes and the weather and the coolness here, we're on the north side of the cold front that's been coming through. Colorado actually is getting snow. Not just, drizzles. They have been consistently getting snow all winter. It's been extremely wet out there, and they're still getting, 2 or 3 inches every night. And some of the places I go four-wheeling out in Colorado aren't even open yet. Now, I've seen them not open this time of year, but I haven't seen them not open because the continuing snow, which is kind of crazy. And we usually like impromptu trips out to Colorado to go four-wheeling and camping and stuff. And while I have seen one of the major passes closed in like July because it was on the north side, the major north side of the pass was still snow covered, I haven't seen the main roads still closed in May. So it's definitely a very wet season out in Colorado, but we're on the divide of the north side and the south side of the fronts here. So we got down in the 40s last night. Oklahoma's getting tornadoes and tornado warnings left and right. I have a friend and some family members who went to bed in Oklahoma last night under tornado warnings and woke up this morning under new tornado warnings, just because it's on the warm side and it's very humid down there, as we're all getting a lot of rain, and it's about to downpour again. I can see it coming. Man, Mother Nature is a bitch, and Mother Nature is something that you guys, if you're seeing this video, you need to prepare for. I've talked about this in many, many videos in the past, and it's surprising that so many people take things like the grocery store or their vehicles for granted. First of all, don't drive in the high water, guys. Turn around, don't drown. People say that kind of stuff all the time, but I can't stress it enough. It's a stress on emergency crews to recover your ass, but it's just, why not just make the smart decision before you go into the water? I don't care if you know the bridge is fine or the road is fine. 2 inches of water crossing the road at heavy speeds, the ground underneath it could be washed out. I've got a local lake here. The river has has flowed over the banks, washed the bank out, and it's draining into that lake, and the lake is overflowing because the river has washed away the bank, in which separate the two. That's kind of crazy. So just got to prepare. Make sure you guys have a week's or more worth of water. Now, basements are great. Basements are awesome for tornadoes. But if you live in an area that's wet and you live in an area that is near a pond or a river that can overflow and flood your area quickly, storing all of your essentials necessarily all in the basement is not a smart idea. Of course, you could do so in watertight containers, but split your stuff up. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have half your water down in the basement, half your water upstairs or up in the attic, wherever, the second story, just in case you are near a flood zone. If your basement were to flood or your first story were to flood, you could still get to your survival items. That's a week's worth of food minimum. Of course, you want much more than that, especially if you are in your house, and you have a way to make fire that's dry. Right now, it's pouring out. My wood supply, while I am on the grid and I am on have electricity and everything right now, I don't have a wood burning fireplace. But if I did, I would be making sure that all my wood was covered and not near a wet source, as in open to the air. I guarantee you, any of the wood I have outside to cook with in my firing is soaked. I can't cook with it unless it's dry. Common sense. Preparing and having your stuff, your supplies, and more in one place is extremely important, especially during this time of year. Now, I've done videos on this for the spring and the summer months, and I've also done videos on this for the winter months. Of course, everything has its own pros and cons, but if you're not prepared, basically, you're already behind. Now, if you guys are affected, anybody who's watching this is affected by tornadoes or flooding or any kind of damage, my prayers go out to you guys. I've been there. I have not been affected necessarily by a tornado or flooding or anything, but I have been in those areas. I grew up in Kansas, born and raised in the Midwest. I know how things can be unpredictable. And the one thing that drives me crazy, obviously, like I said, don't drive in the flooded waters already. But there's a thing called flash floods, and there's a reason why they're called flash floods, where the water comes up quick and it floods a waterway, or it floods a roadway Now, I know we see case after case after case of people driving in the water and then all of a sudden they're stranded. You shouldn't drive in the water that you can see. That's stupid. But there are times where water comes up so quick it surrounds a vehicle and a person freaks out and stops. I have seen it before. Actually, had a friend who was on a backcountry road. The ditches were all full and the river was still rising. This is about the time of the historic flood I was talking about earlier. The ditches were full and he was crossing the river, and while he was crossing the river he stopped on the bridge for a minute to look at the river. It was just rushing through. He got off the bridge and he was headed north on this road, which is a gravel road, and that river came up so fast and came up the ditches and it covered the road in front of him. He was stranded by that time. Now that road and that bridge became an island. While he was able to get out by calling a family member to, come rescue him in a large vehicle, his vehicle ended up being swept away. And that's the whole point and the whole, idea of, flash floods. It's, of course, it's stupid to drive in the flooded roads and flooded, areas anyways, but he was there and the water came up that quick. It doesn't take but minutes for flash flood waters to cover our road or a ditch. So just be smart about it, and if you're not prepared, get to the store now. It is not something you want to mess with and then be out of food and water and left behind because the stores are empty. Don't want to be that last man out there. I sure wouldn't want to be. So, anyways, guys, keep calm and carry on. Stay safe. Stay dry. See you later.